The government thought if you bid out smaller projects, that is 50 megawatt, 100 megawatt, you will get the best tariff. So you will be able to drive down the cost, and you'll be able to show that every incremental project is reducing the cost of renewable power.
And I think really the future should be all about finding ways there is an abundance of renewable energy in certain countries, Indonesia being one of the key ones.
So we do look at things from a long-term perspective, and financing costs hasn't been a big challenge. Finding quality projects is a bigger challenge.
What we've seen in the last 1.5 years is that in the Philippines, for example, they are pushing more and more towards the renewable space.
The fact that the project was not only a Masdar project, it was a symbol for all other projects to come.
Yes,
It was important that we pave the way for other renewable projects in Indonesia.
But nonetheless, the investors are still very, very keen to participate in energy transition. A lot of investors are also talking about India.
Thank you for having me here. I found the venue really interesting due to the different perspectives. There were not only banks giving their 2 cents on project finance and APEC, but also developers, also investment funds and so on. So they're having these different kind of visions and perspectives was really enlightening to me as well.
The power element is another one which we've seen quite recently. There's been joint ventures in many of the jurisdictions around the region where a regional operator has partnered with a local power provider.
Obviously, in the last 2 years, with the integration of AI into every application that we're seeing right now, from your Facebook to your Copilot and all that, you're going to see multiple fold increase.
I think for digital infrastructure in emerging markets, it's really important to have regional platforms. That gives us a comfort, and also the vision of the sponsor and who we are partnering with.
Thank you very much, first of all, for inviting us. It was a great event, especially for digital infrastructure. We typically have conferences that only includes the digital infrastructure and telecom. It was great to be in a conference that connects all infrastructure and hearing all about the renewable energy initiatives and what is going on in the region. So it was a great event, and thanks for organizing and inviting IFC.
I think the other thing that we look at that is quite important is really the credit quality of the off-taker, because it doesn't really matter how well protected you are under the contract. It's only as good as your off-taker's ability to honor those obligations as and when it's called upon.
Now what that translated to eventually is the grid was not able to keep up, and then there was curtailment. Now the issue of curtailment then flows through into the PPA to say, what if the project gets curtailed and there is no cash flow?
I think overall it was well received. I interacted with quite a number of attendees. The panels were well put together. I think the discussions were quite thoughtful. You brought out some of the more relevant issues in and around the region in financing sustainable infrastructure. I think overall the interaction with the panelists was good as well. I attended one of the earlier panels as well, and some of those were quite thought-provoking. So overall, I think it's a very well put together, short and concise event.
When we look at energy security and energy investment opportunities, not only renewable and generation, but is the full supply chain, is transmission and distribution.
I wouldn't be alone in the renewable space as an entrepreneur saying that early couple of dollars to start is challenging because you can't bootstrap this sort of industry.
And of course, it should involve energy that would probably install some kind of floating type of, solar panel to be installed around the coast area.
The other challenge with CNI is that it is such a competitive market that everyone is trying to secure your next PPA.
Well, this is a very well-attended event, and I think you've covered the range of topics pretty well. So, data centers all the way to renewables. Interesting topic mentioned in the end, social infrastructure, to see what happens in Asia with social infrastructure.